Hey, it's Katie, and welcome back to my BookTube channel. Today, I will be telling you guys what books are on my May TBR that I'm hoping to read, and I'm very excited about a lot of these books. So the first one is Hang the Moon by Alexandria Bellefleur, and this is an ARC that I have that is coming out May 25th. So I'm hoping to read it within the next few days, and I am so excited. This is a queer rom-com. And it is about a hopeless romantic who vows to show his childhood crush that romance isn't dead by recreating iconic dates from his favorite films. And that is honestly all I know about this book, but it is also the companion novel to Written in the Stars, which I haven't read, but I've heard amazing things about. And I'm very excited to read this. It looks super cute, the cover's adorable, and I love that it is a queer rom-com, and the fact that the one character is trying to recreate iconic dates from favorite films. I expect a lot of references, and I am so excited to pick this one up. You have all definitely heard about this next one, and that is From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and I am so glad to finally have a copy of this book in my hands. This is actually a library copy, but I had it on hold at the library since probably November, and I'm so glad that it's finally my turn to read this. I cannot wait. I honestly don't know a lot about this book. I know that we have Poppy, who is a maiden, and a maiden means she's never to be touched, looked upon, spoken to, and never to experience pleasure. And I know we also see Hawk, who is the guard, who is basically there to ensure her ascension. And that's all I know about it. I know that there's definitely some smut in here, and I don't know if it's in a lot in the first book, but it's definitely in the rest of the series. I am so excited. This is such a cool concept for a romance, and I don't know if is it fantasy also? Like I said, I don't know anything about this, but it's so good according to literally everybody that's ever picked it up. Also, Jennifer L. Armentrout, I've read other series by her before, and I love her writing, so I definitely trust that I will love this as well. Okay, yes, I just read the blurb on the back, and it definitely is also a fantasy with some romance. So I got that a little bit mixed up, but it's so cool. The cover looks gorgeous. And also, even though I've never read it and I don't really know anything about it, when Fairy Loot had their exclusive editions of the whole series, I did end up purchasing that. So sometime in June or July, I will get all 3 books, and they are going to look gorgeous, and I will definitely show you guys because I literally can't stop smiling even just thinking about it. But I will be reading this. I am so excited, as you could probably tell, and I'm hoping to do a reading vlog for it to let you guys know my thoughts. So let me know if you would prefer to have spoilers in it or for it to be a spoiler-free reading vlog. I feel like by this point, everybody's pretty much read it, so I could probably do a vlog with spoilers, but I'd still like to know your opinion. I wanted to include some books in a series that I've been wanting to finish for a while, and those books are Blue Lily, Lily Blue, and The Raven King from the Raven Cycle. These are books 3 and 4. And I read the second one a month or 2 ago, and I enjoyed it way more than the first one because I feel like in the first one, I didn't really understand the characters too much, and the whole quest thing was very confusing to me. And so by book 2, I finally had a better grasp of the world, and I became a lot more invested in those characters. So there's also a huge plot twist / cliffhanger at the end of book 2. So I went out and I bought the rest of the series, so I hopefully don't have to endure another cliffhanger again. And I just kind of plan on reading book 3, but I feel like I'll probably end up just binging the rest of it. So we'll see how that goes, but I'm very excited to read these as well. I also decided that on my TBR every month, I want to include a book that's been on my shelves for a while. And so this month, that book is The Geography of Lost Things by Jessica Brody, and I don't even remember buying this book. I just have always seen it on my shelves. So it's about time I get to this. It definitely seems like a spring, summer vibe. I know there's a road trip in here. I think it's about a girl whose estranged father passed away and left her this car, and she wants nothing to do with the car because it reminds her a lot of him. So she is going on this road trip to take the car to the buyer, but she doesn't know how to drive stick shift, and the only person she knows who does is her ex-boyfriend. And so the two of them are going on this road trip, and I think along the way there's a lot of like detours and a lot of roadblocks and a lot of things go wrong, and I'm sure it's very awkward because they are exes. So I'm very excited to read this. This seems so good. And I also really love, I was kind of flipping through it, and at the beginning of every chapter, I'm trying to find one, it has the time, where they are, and then their inventory. So I think that's really cool because I think if you read the synopsis, it says that along the way they meet strangers and start collecting these like items, and they end up not being random items. So I'm excited to see what's up with that, but this looks super cute. The next book I'm hoping to read this month is Crush by Tracy Wolff, and this is the sequel to Crave, which I read last month, and I also had in my TikTok Made Me Read It reading vlog, and I loved it way more than I was expecting. It's very like nostalgic and action-packed, and there's good romance and everything I love, and it ended on one of the biggest cliffhangers ever. I feel like I've said that for a few books, but I went through a lot of cliffhangers last month. And so I somehow tried to stop myself from buying the sequels, but I caved the other day and I bought books 2 and 3. So I definitely hope to read book 2 and try to pace myself because the 4th book doesn't come out until I think the end of this year or maybe the beginning of next year. I'm not sure. But I have a while, so I'm trying to pace myself, but I probably won't be able to because I don't have self-control, as you could probably tell. But anyway, I'm very excited to see where it goes, and I can't really tell you too much more than what I just said because I don't want to spoil Crave for you guys, but if there's anything holding you back, I think you should totally read it. It's so funny. Like, if that's the one thing I took away from it, I was constantly laughing. And one of my favorite parts were the chapter titles. I feel like usually if a book has titles for the chapters, they're usually very like mysterious or like fantastical, but these are just really funny. And I can't even find any to really show you, but they just always made me laugh for some reason. And that's probably my favorite part. These books were just so fun to read, and they kept me in such a great mood, and I never wanted to put it down, which might be a problem because this is almost 700 pages, so I will be busy. After that, I'm hoping to read Tequila Kingdom by Alexandra Christo, and I actually started this book last month, but this was like the 7th fantasy in a row that I was trying to read, and after reading that many fantasies, I needed a break. So even though I was loving the first few chapters of this, I decided to set it down and read a lot of romance and contemporaries to round out that month. And so now I think it's finally time for me to pick this one back up and finish it. And this is really cool because this is another nautical book. I read my first nautical book last month, which was Daughter of the Pirate King, and I'm excited to pick up another one because I really am loving that setting. And so this one, we have Princess Lyra, who is Siren royalty, and she's actually the most lethal of them all, and she has She has the hearts of 17 princes. I can never word that right. One for every year that she's been alive, and there's this twist of fate that forces her to kill one of her own, and so as punishment, the Sea Queen turns her into a human and tells her that she has until the winter solstice to bring her the heart of Prince Elian. And we also get Prince Elian's perspective, and he is the heir to one of the most powerful kingdoms, but he thinks his calling is to hunt sirens. And so one day he saves this drowning woman, and she ends up being more than what she appears to be. And this is actually like a twisted Little Mermaid retelling, which I didn't even know until I read one of the blurbs on the back. But that's so cool. I've never heard of a Little Mermaid retelling until this one. And so far I'm loving it. And I love that it says a princess must have her prince. I haven't gotten too much into it. I've just been kind of introduced to the characters, but really good. And I'm really excited for the romance in this because he hunts sirens. She's a siren. He's been turned into a human to steal his heart. And I'm assuming that they fall for each other and their lives get a lot more complicated. So this one is going to be great. Sticking with the nautical theme, I'm hoping to read the sequel to Daughter of the Pirate King, which is Daughter of the Siren Queen by Trisha Levenseller. And I have been loving Trisha Levenseller's writing. It sucks me in, and it's so vivid. I feel like I can picture every part of the world, even though I had never read a nautical world until her first book. And I love Alosa. I love Ryden. And it's just amazing. I'm so excited. I love the whole pirate vibe. I love that they're looking for a hidden treasure. Like, literally, it's so good. And I want to tell you guys all my thoughts of the first book, but I don't want to spoil anything. But it's really great. And if you want to know my thoughts on Daughter of the Pirate King, I have a Goodreads review of it. If you'd like to check that out, it will be linked below. The next two books on my TBR are some of the 2021 releases that I'm so excited to read. And the first one is The Bright and the Pale by Jessica Rubinkowski. And this book is actually inspired by Russian folklore, which is so cool. Also, I'm obsessed with it because this is the this is the Fairy Loot edition. This is my problem with getting two subscription boxes. I can never remember which is which, but this is the Fairy Loot edition, and it has sprayed edges, and I'm obsessed with the color and the fact that they're shimmery. But that's not what you're here to hear me talk about. This is about a 17-year-old named Valeria, and she is one of the only survivors of the Freeze, which is this dark magical hold where everyone in her village, including her family, is trapped in a thick layer of ice. And she's on the run because the Tsar is determined to capture anyone who has escaped. And she ends up finding refuge with these rebels. Or no, they're not rebels. They're thieves. And so she starts doing odd jobs for them with her best friend. And her best friend's the only piece of home she has left. But then he is brutally murdered. But a year after that, she learns that he's actually still alive. And in order to save him, she needs to take this group of like thieves and cutthroats to these mountains, which is where the freeze ended up happening in the first place. And there's also a monster hiding in the mountains. That probably sounded a little confusing, but that's because I just can't explain the story for some reason, but it sounds so cool. I'm just going to read like the last little blurb because I hope it'll get you hooked. But it says, inspired by Russian folklore, Jessica Rubinkowski's epic fantasy debut is a thrilling page-turner with romance, tragedy, magic, and monsters that will stay with you to the very end. And what more could you want, honestly? This sounds so cool, and I'm so excited to read it. I love that it's her debut. It sounds super clever and creative, and it's going to be so good. I also hope to do a reading vlog of the 2021 releases that I end up reading this month, so stay tuned for that because this will definitely be in there. The other new release that I'm hoping to read is Witches Steeped in Gold by Shannon Smart, and I just got this the other day. This is actually the Owl Crate edition, and I am obsessed with this cover. It's so gorgeous. Is there art on the inside? Yeah. This one has art on the inside, so I'm just going to show you. If you watched my Owl Crate unboxing, you've already seen it, but I'm obsessed, so I figured I'd show you guys again. This is a Jamaican-inspired fantasy, which is so cool. I love that I'm trying to read more books inspired by different cultures. That's something I've really enjoyed reading recently, and this is no exception. This is about two witches that are rivals and completely hate each other, but their need for revenge and their common enemy get them to work together. And that's really all I know about it. It just says on the back, enemies bent on revenge, an unlikely alliance, one witch left standing. And I feel like that's all you need to know. I am so excited. This is actually thicker than I was expecting, so I love that it's a longer fantasy. Let me see. Well, longer for me. I know there's books that are like 800 to 1,000 pages, but I'm not to that level yet. This is like 550 pages. So definitely getting there for me. But I love that we have these two strong female main characters. I'm so excited to meet them. They sound so cool. And I love that it says their order divides them, their revenge will unite them. Something about women driven by the need for revenge is something that I've really enjoyed reading about. It reminds me of Kingdom of the Wicked because she is also driven toward revenge. And oddly enough, that's actually the next book on my TBR. And this is a reread, obviously. The last two books on my TBR are rereads. And I didn't realize that was a good transition. I didn't even plan that. But I've definitely talked about this one before. I even did a whole book review for it, so I will try to link that below as well. But I have been really loving updates for the sequel, Kingdom of the Cursed, which doesn't even come out until like October, November. It's forever away. And I've been really loving updates on Carrie Maniscalco's Instagram. She sometimes posts little blurbs from the new book, and it's just made me want to reread this. So I mean, enough said. That's really all I need to say. But for those of you that don't know, this is a book about twin witches, Amelia and Vittoria, who are living among humans and are trying to keep it a secret to avoid persecution. But one day, Vittoria doesn't show up for family dinner, and so Amelia goes out to search for her, and she ends up finding Vittoria's desecrated body. And so this kind of thrusts Amelia onto this path for revenge, and along the way, she bumps into Wrath, who's one of the wicked princes of hell, and he claims to be on her side and to also want to figure out who murdered her, but Amelia's not sure if she can trust him. It's literally so good. This takes place in the 1800s. I can't remember, but it also has a historical fiction element, which I honestly really loved, and just the world is so vivid. I love the characters. It's definitely an enemies to lovers. It's so good. The concept of the 7 wicked princes of hell is so clever because it goes with the 7 deadly sins, and it's just so great. I love the characters. I've looked up so much fan art for these characters. I'm like literally obsessed. This is one of my favorite books of all time. So please read it if you haven't. I know it's pretty hyped up, so you've probably heard of it and you've probably already read it, but in case you haven't, this is your sign. And then the last book that's on my May TBR is Caraval by Stephanie Garber. And you guys have probably heard me talk about this already because this is one of my favorite books of all time as well. And the reason I want to reread this one is because I read it for the first time in May of last year, and it's been about exactly 1 month since I read it for the first time, and I haven't reread it yet, so I felt like this was a perfect time to do it. This is the book that got me back into reading, and the whole reason I read all these books and started this channel, so I feel like it would be great to reread it on the anniversary of my first read. And it's so good. This book follows sisters Scarlett and Tella, who are on this island, and they've never really been off the island, but they've always dreamt of seeing Caraval, which is something that takes place once every year, and it's where the audience ends up participating in the show. I feel like words will never do Caraval justice because it's very hard to explain that concept. But this is the last year that they could potentially go to Caraval because Scarlett's father has an arranged marriage for her. And so with the help of this mysterious sailor, Tella ends up whisking Scarlett away to the game. And when they get there, Tella gets kidnapped immediately because this year the games revolve around her. And whoever finds Tella first wins. And obviously there's more on the line for Scarlett because it's also her sister. And the one thing you get told before you start this game is, remember, it's only a game. And my favorite part of this book, aside from the relationship of Scarlett and Tella, their sisterly bond is so amazing to read about. And also there's great romance, of course. But my favorite part is that you can never tell what's part of the game and what's real. Like that thin veil between fantasy and reality is so well done that I feel like I was playing the game with the characters, and it's so good. And I'm going to try really hard to just read this one this month, but I feel like, honestly, I'll probably just reread the whole series because I don't have self-control and it's one of my faves. So I'll definitely do that. And I've been thinking about Caraval and Stephanie Garber a lot because Stephanie Garber has also been posting a good amount about her new book coming out in September, which is Once Upon a Broken Heart. And I literally cannot wait. I've known it was going to be a thing for some months now, and it also takes place in the world of Caraval, but with different characters. So Jax is a character in Caraval, and you do see some of him in this new series, but the main character is somebody we've never met, and I think that's really cool. I'm excited. It's like the same world, but completely different characters, and I cannot wait to get my hands on it. I actually have already pre-ordered it because she did this Barnes & Noble exclusive with like a pink cover, which is absolutely gorgeous, and it's signed, and I need a signed copy of one of her books, so I already pre-ordered it, but I cannot wait. So anyway, to time me over and hold me over until that book comes out, I will reread this series probably more than once, but last book on my TBR. Comment below what books are on your May TBR. I would love to hear what books you're hoping to read this month, and also please like and subscribe to my channel. It would literally make my day. And if you do subscribe, go ahead and click the notification bell so you know when I upload next. But thank you guys so much for watching. I can't wait to see you in my next video.